would you like to do, Ben?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I just got my favorite cast iron pan seasoned.
Yeah.
Let's make a cooking video.
Okay. What are we going to cook?
How about authentic German pork schnitzel with a creamy dill sauce, roasted Brussels sprouts, and smashed roasted baby red and baby white potatoes.
That sounds delicious.
It certainly does. Let's get to it. Okay, so first things first, we have to get our oven preheated. We're going to go ahead and take that to 425 degrees. While that's going, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my pans. Okay, the first pan I'm going to be using is a GSW General Steelworks. Okay, this pan was made circa 1930s. They went as far as the early 1940s when making these. It was made by McClary Foundry, okay, in Canada. Okay, and this pan's been around for a long time in my family. It was handed down to me from my great-grandmother. And it's been in service for probably well over 50 years. Second pan we're going to use is another one of my favorites. And this is a Griswold, okay, and it was made in Erie, Pennsylvania. Okay, it's size number 8, and this pan was also handed down by my great-grandmother. And this pan was made in the 1930s. They began production on this one in 1930 and ended production in 1937. So it falls somewhere in there. So these pans are true vintage, handed down through generations in my family, and I'm honored to cook with them. Okay, while the oven is preheating, we're going to go ahead and we're going to prep our vegetables. I've already taken care of most of them, okay, but what we have is baby red tomatoes, or potatoes, I'm sorry. You say potato, I say tomato. And we have fresh Brussels. Okay, now the larger ones I've cut in half. Smaller ones I leave whole. And I left a couple to show you how we prep these. Okay, so first things first is we need to cut the ends off. Okay, because they're nice and brown and yucky. Go ahead and peel off some of these leaves. Set them to the side. And we'll do that on these ones. Set them to the side. The larger ones we'll cut in half. Smaller ones we'll leave whole. Now to get all this ready for roasting, it's pretty simple. Straightforward. Just put them all in a big bowl. Okay, of course I'm using another antique bowl. I love my antiques, as you can tell. All of this stuff's been passed down to me through generations. It's all McCoy, Hull, and USA pottery. Most of this stuff is going on 100 years old. And I like to use it in my everyday cooking, my everyday life. So what we do is we take some olive oil and just put in maybe about 2 tablespoons or so. That's really all it takes. Okay? Some sea salt. Just coat it. Put some in there. Don't go crazy because, you know, sea salt's pretty strong stuff. And some pepper. This is fresh cracked pepper. I put it in here for, you know, I mean, come on, how could I not want to use these salt and pepper shakers? Okay. And after that, we just mix it all up. Then what we're going to do is take it and we'll just put it in our pan. Just let it sit there to soak in that salt and pepper flavor till our oven preheats. Alright, now that our oven's preheated, I'm just going to take these and toss them in to the oven. Forget about them for about 25 minutes. Then we're going to want to stir them and put them back in for about another 15 minutes. Okay, now we're ready to move on to meat prep. Okay, first things first, we have to get our pan hot. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that started on preheat, and we're going to go to medium heat. Okay, a lot of people forget about this step. Guys, your pan has to be hot before you start cooking. Okay, especially when you're frying, because then all you're going to do is soak up all of that grease, and it's going to absorb in your flour and your breading. Not only is it going to make your meat taste like crap, it'll make your breading soggy, and it won't bond to the meat. It'll fall off. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, here I have dried dill. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sprinkle some dried dill on this. Okay, you can go a little bit heavy. Trust me, it's good. Okay, we're going to go with some pepper. And some salt. Remember, if you're using sea salt, don't go too heavy. This stuff's potent. Okay, push it in. Do both sides. When you're sprinkling, stay about 6-8 inches above. That way you get a nice, good broadcast.
So now we're going to take the meat and we're going to place it into a bag so that we can pound it out to about an eighth inch thick. Okay, so tell me again why we seasoned it before we pound it.
Well, I like to season meat before I put it in the bag and before I pound it. That way when we're pounding the meat in, it's actually incorporating that seasoning into the fibers of the meat. It just brings the flavor out so much more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know.
Alright, so now it's time for us to turn our Brussels and potatoes. Oh, we got a runaway Brussels. Can't have that. Look at how brown those are getting. They look delicious. Okay, we'll get those turned. Put them back in the oven. And put them on for another 15 minutes. Okay, let's get back to our meat. Okay, so in this bowl I'm going to put flour. Just regular all-purpose flour. It's about a cup and a half's worth. No need to really measure on this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in our pork loin. Well, sorry, first I have to get our egg wash ready. I got 2 eggs. I'm just going to mix them up to get a nice egg wash going. I personally like to add some whole milk. Some people do, some people don't. I like to. It helps with the flavor, especially with white meat. Now that we got that good mixed, so we're going to go ahead and dredge this pork chop. Set it to the side. And repeat with the rest of them. A little piece for tasting. Always got to have a little tasting piece. Okay, now after we've got them all dredged, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add about a half a cup or so worth of breadcrumbs. We don't want too many breadcrumbs because we want that flour mixed in. We're going to mix that in real good. Okay. Add you some more salt. Remember, not a lot. We've already got plenty on our meat too. Pepper. And that's it. No more dill at this point because our sauce is going to have plenty of it in it. Okay, move this down. Let's go ahead and get our chops and our egg wash. Make sure they're good and coated. See how that egg is sticking to that real good? And we just put it in our breader. Cover it up real good. Shake off the excess. Set it to the side. Repeat for the others. Okay, now that we got our pan good and hot, yeah, that's a good hot pan, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We don't got to get too crazy here. And we start adding our chops. See that sizzle? We want that sizzle. You have to have the sizzle. If it doesn't sizzle, your pan's not hot enough, and, well, quite frankly, you're messing up your meat. You don't know any other way to put it. We're just going to do 3 at a time in this pan. I'll come back for the other one. Just want to get those good and brown. It's going to probably take about 3 to 6 minutes per side. Okay, now that we think that they're about all the way cooked on the one side, oh yeah, that's beautiful. I love the way these cast irons cook. Let's go ahead and flip them. Oh, that's beautiful. Perfect every time in these cast iron skillets. Okay, so these should be right about ready to come out of the heat. Nice and crisp on both sides. Go ahead and give them a turn, give them a touch bit longer. You want to make sure it's good and crispy on both sides. Okay, now that the other side's done crisping up, oh, beautiful. Let's go ahead and take those and we'll move them to a plate. Now that we've got our meat cooked, we're going to leave all the drippings in the pan. And this is where it starts to get fun. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add about a half a cup of chicken stock where they're going to deglaze this pan. You want to get all of that up off the bottom. It's all flavor right there. You want that flavor. All those bits and pieces, you want them to come up off the bottom. Okay, add just a touch more stock. Okay, now we're going to want that, let that reduce some. Now I know it's hard to see with the camera, but this is actually turned into a nice, maybe a peanut butter color. That's really about as dark as you want it, because you're going to need that fluid. You don't want it to get thick. You're going to need that fluid for the next part. Here we have just regular sour cream. Okay, we're going to want to start off with about a half a cup's worth. And blend that in. And remember, you don't want this to boil at this point. You're just wanting to incorporate that chicken stock with this sour cream. Looks like about a half a cup did it. Get it blended in real nice. Now if it gets too thick, you can always add a little bit more chicken stock. Just enough to where it coats the spoon and you can still drip. Now you got that incorporated in real good. We're going to go with some more dried dill. And you can pretty much do this to flavor to the taste that you like it. After you make it a couple times, you know how much you make. I like to use about probably 3 teaspoons or so. And then to jazz it up a little more, fresh baby dill. Just kind of tear it off. You don't want the stems. Just kind of tear it off and toss it in there. Go ahead and whisk that in. Let that thicken up just a little bit on low heat. Okay, now that we got the sauce, the consistency we like it, sometimes you might have to add a little bit more sour cream. Sometimes you might have to add a little bit more chicken stock. Just go nice and easy and slow with it so you don't overdo it. But that, my friends, is ready. So we're going to go ahead and we'll take our plate. Take one of these nice crispy pork schnitzels. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll get our roasted vegetables. Oh goodness, look at those out of the oven. Go ahead and just scoop you some up. Put them on your plate. Get them around nicely. And of course, I didn't think to get a spoon for my gravy. To keep staying on that gravy, baby. We'll just use a regular spoon. And we'll go ahead and we'll dress our pork with our sauce. And there you have it. Roasted potatoes, roasted Brussels, and delicious pork schnitzel. I hope you enjoy it as much as we're gonna. Don't forget to mash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and give this video a like if you wouldn't mind, please. There's gonna be much more of this delicious food to come.